Check. Game 1 of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final goes to the Edmonton Oilers with a 4-3 win in overtime over the Florida Panthers. Man, the sequel is so rarely better than the original. You know what's funny? All season long, all playoff long, the more obvious it seemed that it was going to be this way. We were like, you know what? Yeah, I could go for another 4 to 7 games of Edmonton tearing Florida apart and Florida tearing Edmonton apart. But I mean, how do you top it? Florida goes up 3-0. They look like they're going to dominate and sweep. Then Edmonton forces a game 7 in such a dominant way that we can't imagine Florida ever winning another game. Then game 7 was like easily the most normal run-of-the-mill game in the series. The series itself last year was great. The individual games, there were kind of a lot of butt kickings. Game 1 was 3-0 Florida. Game 2 was 4-1 Florida. Game 3 was 4-3 Florida, but it was a 4-1 Florida lead where the Oilers almost came back. Oilers win Game 4 8-1. Game 5 was 5-3 for the Oilers, but they got out to a 3-0 and 4-1 lead. Game 6 was 5-1 Edmonton. We're like, oh my God, they might actually do this. Then game 7 was like a game, like just a normal hockey game. Verhaeghe scored early. Janmark scored like 2 minutes later. Reinhart got one near the end of the second, shut her down and collapsed in the third period. I would argue that game 1 of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final was better than any game from last year's Cup Final. Like, purely as an outside observer. I'm sure if you were an Oilers fan, you enjoyed the 8-1 one pretty much. Yeah, no, that was good. I'll take that. Or winning game 6 to force game 7, yeah. If you're a Panthers fan, well, I know which one was your favorite. As just a neutral hockey observer, this was perfect. Please give me 7 games of this. Please. Just a minute and 6 seconds into this game. Dude, I cannot believe Kasperi Kapanen's career. He's banging and crashing on this goal. Causes chaos in front as the Oilers get the puck because of his banging and crashing. Wallman throws it on. Kapanen gets a rebound. He's stopped because of the havoc he's creating. Oh, look, there's Leon Draisaitl with no one on him a minute into a hockey game. And he buries it because, of course, he did. It's Leon Draisaitl 1-0 Oilers. Listen. Leon is Leon, and there will be plenty of time to praise Leon. I cannot believe the player Kasperi Kapanen has become. First of all, think of the semi-charmed career this guy has had. He has had centers like Austin Matthews, Evgeny Malkin, Leon Draisaitl, and later in this game, Connor McDavid. Meanwhile, he didn't begin the playoffs on the Oilers roster. He's played less than 10 games in these playoffs. His career looked like it was over. This guy's a waiver claim. Here he is playing in the Oilers top 6 like it's normal and fine, and he's effective. He got his first assist in this game. In fact, he got his first 2 assists in this game. He had another 2 shots and another 5 hits, bringing his playoff total up to 39 hits in just 8 games. That is just under 5 hits a game. Not to mention 5 points in those 8 games. It took him a long time, but he has found his role. And that is how the first period ended for the Oilers, and they're all happy. No, that's not how it went. First things first, about halfway through the period, the Panthers take advantage of an opportunity. Carter Verhaeghe puts it on. Sam Bennett, looks like he gets a piece of it. Why is he in the net? Well, that's because he interfered with the goalie, because Sam Bennett always interferes with the goalie, and they review it for goalie interference. Now, here's the thing. Jake Wallman and Sam Bennett were battling in front of the net. I thought, as I'm sure Chris Knobloch thought, that Bennett simply fell backward advantageously into Stuart Skinner. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me thrice, I'm a friggin' idiot. Guess which one the NHL is? Number 3! But then you see the angle where, Bennett tripped over Kulak's foot. Or Kulak tripped him with his foot. See, the wording changes how you think about it. If Kulak tripped Bennett with his foot, it's a goal. If Bennett simply tripped over Brett Kulak, this shouldn't be a goal. And the goal counts. It's Bennett's, and I gotta tell you, my heart breaks for him. God, these accidents keep happening to him. When is it gonna stop happening to Sam? Oh, Leafs fan salty. First of all, yes, but am I wrong though? Sorry, he elbowed a starting goalie in the head and I didn't like it. He didn't elbow Stoller. I didn't say Stollers. You see? Anyway, the goal counts because of course it counts. Sam Bennett increases his lead in, goals in the league. He just does whatever he wants in the league. And George Peros' former team ties it up. Salty, I don't care. I don't deny being salty. I don't give a damn. People love salt. Look in your pantry. Look in your fridge. People love salt. What did you eat today? There's probably had a lot of salt in it. A little salt is good for you. Too much, maybe, Anyway, now here's what sucks, and the Oilers should know better, If you challenge for goalie interference and you're wrong, you take a penalty. Remember that thing that happened against the Kings? Yeah. Well, Florida gets a penalty and they've tied the game. And on that power play, they score. Evan Rodriguez with the unbelievable keep on the fly with his stick out of mid-air to keep this thing alive. It finds its way to Brad Marchand because, like, yeah, of course it does. Who else would it find? And it's 2-1 Florida, and that is the way things would end after one. Edmonton way outshoots Florida. It doesn't matter. You're losing. And things go from bad to worse for the Oilers in the second. Because Sam Bennett gets the longest breakaway of all time. This is basically where the breakaway starts. No one, like, it doesn't matter if you can't catch Bennett. Well, maybe if you cut off the pass from Nate Schmidt, they can't cut it off. Bennett with a breakaway. Bennett with a very simple move, backhand, forehand, rip it. And Stuart Skinner has allowed 3 goals on his first 8 shots. 3-1, Panthers lead. Bennett with 2 goals. I'm telling you, if the Panthers win it all, this guy's gonna win the Conn Smythe. The Oilers need 2 goals just to tie it, and they're not going to be able to do that unless Stuart Skinner locks in. And for the next almost an hour, Stuart Skinner did not allow another goal. Meanwhile, and this is the key, Victor Arvidsson, a minute 17 later, scores a weird one. You need weird ones from weird people. Dude, you know who had like a really good game in this one? Vasily Podkolzin. He gains the zone, drops it off. Victor Arvidsson just cranks a slap shot. What year is it? A winger taking a slap shot? 5-on-5? Are you nuts? He's crazy like a fox because he beats Bobrovsky, and now the Oilers are back within 1. Take it from a Leafs fan. That's important. Because now the Panthers, even though they're maybe skewing defense, they have to take things into account. Like, oh, you might get back in this game. Oh, we should like still try to score because that Panthers boa constrictor will strangle you. Now, we did learn one thing that was just all over the chat tonight in the stream. The Panthers are the kings of the long change. Until the end of overtime. But they absolutely dominated the Oilers in the second period. In a second period, the Oilers were losing the entire time is the scary part. Once things go back to the short change in the third, the Oilers have to get a hold of this game. You're on home ice. You have home ice advantage for the first time in these playoffs. You need to take advantage. Meanwhile, the Florida Panthers set a record with their 50th road goal in these playoffs, which is a Stanley Cup playoff record. 12 of those goals were scored in games 5 and 7 against Toronto alone. I may never actually know true happiness. But look at them. Here they are in Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final. They're still doing it. Dude, it's game 1 of the Cup final. They could have like 60 by the end of this, smash the record, and still not even win the Cup. Anyway, third period. Panthers were doing their thing. The Oilers were getting some shots. They were getting some looks. But you look and there's, it's only 2 minutes gone in the third period, and you look away and you maybe check the time, and oh my goodness, 5 minutes gone. This is what they do. They bleed the clock away. You know what? Sometimes you just need your stars to do star stuff. Connor McDavid is doing what Connor McDavid does, sucking up oxygen like an actual fire. Now, he's got a wide open man in Mattias Ekholm. He's got it. He's right there. So the Panthers are like, we simply converge around Connor McDavid. Make sure he doesn't get the shot. If he does get the shot, you get in the way if you're the goalie, right? This pass isn't getting through. Yeah, no, most players are not getting that pass through. It's Connor McDavid. Feathers the thing through on his backhand. And Mattias Ekholm, that is point per game, Mattias Ekholm cranks it, and just a terrifying reaction to tying a Stanley Cup final game at home. Both McDavid and Ekholm, I don't even think they put their hands in the air. They barely even smiled. They just looked at each other and pointed. One said good shot and the other said good goal. They were like mad about it. The clock winds down, and ladies and gentlemen, we're going to overtime. Dude, overtime winds down and we're going to double. Now listen, I skipped over a ton of chances and incredible saves. Stuart Skinner was dialed. Bobrovsky was dialed. All it takes is one mistake. And the Oilers chipped away at the Panthers during a long change overtime. Panthers definitely had their chances. They had some really good shifts. But when Kapanen got that breakaway, and I think he hit the outside of the post, the Panthers just start icing the puck constantly. Oilers putting on as much pressure as they possibly can. After a third period that had 0 penalties in it. Whoa, it's such a coincidence that keeps happening in NHL games. Refs are spectators. With under 2 minutes to go in overtime, Thomas Nosek did the one thing, the literally one thing you are not allowed to do in the overtime of the Stanley Cup Finals. Slash whoever you want. Literally slash them until their bones are broken. Cross-check them in the life. Elbow, hold, just do whatever that Aaron Ekblad forearm thing is. Do whatever you want. Borderline murder, but don't you dare put that puck over the glass on your side of center. Thomas Nosek does it. And I didn't see this till after the game. Here's Jake Wallman's reaction. That's unkind. Oilers to the power play. Deep into that power play. They still haven't scored. There's under a minute to go until double OT. Corey Perry, who is a 40-year-old man. And once again, just like they were in the third period, the Panthers are faced with, okay, just try to cut off the pass. And McDavid simply responds, LOL, LMAO. Heathers it to Leon Draisaitl. And I don't care what material your groin is made of, Sergey, you're not getting across to that. Bomb! Leon Draisaitl, power play goal. The roof blows off the place in Edmonton, and the Oilers take a 1-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup Final. And that is a huge win, an unbelievable win for the Edmonton Oilers. And yet, Paul Maurice, immediately after the game, wordsmith he is every time the playoffs come, he's asked about what he would tell Thomas Nosek, who was in the box for that loss. You remind him after the game of being down 0-2 to Toronto. Paul Maurice on what he told Thomas Nosek following his critical OT penalty. First of all, why bring up Toronto? I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. Second of all, he's absolutely right. Dude, the Leafs were running Florida show. It was crazy. They were running their show. Two things changed that series. The Leafs were up 2-0. They won 2 games in Toronto, right? So Edmonton, oh yeah, we won our home games. Leafs are up 2 games. Game 3, the Leafs go up, and they go up like right away. They go up 2-0. Florida gets one back. Leafs go up 3-1. Panthers made two big changes. Number 1, they took Barkov off of the Matthews assignment, and they gave it to Lundell and Luosterainen and Marchand, and it worked wonderfully. The other one, the fourth line, spearheaded by Thomas Nosek joining the lineup, was spectacular and such a consistent factor. Listen, if there are any pair of two teams in the world who know that this series isn't over after one game, it's these two teams. They know. You'd rather be Edmonton, you would, but it ain't over. Psychotic stat. Prior to tonight, the Panthers owned an 18-0 road playoff record under Paul Maurice when leading after 2 periods, says Sportsnet Stats. My favorite stat of the night from Chris Johnston, CJ, who tweeted this before the third period. Incredible stat, courtesy of the NHL, and he is right, the NHL put this out, not him. Florida is 31-0 when holding a lead at the end of the first or second period in Stanley Cup playoff games since head coach Paul Maurice was hired in 2023. The Edmonton Oilers are on a mission to prove that they are literally built different. Questions. Evan Bouchard on Team Canada in 2026. Yes or yes? Dude, this is the crazy thing. Evan Bouchard, listen, I was not kind to him during the regular season. We had segments on the podcast where we would regularly clown on him. The reason that we did that is he was very clown-onable. He was making bad and or dumb and or lazy defensive plays that were catastrophically bad. The reason it's noteworthy is, here's the question I was asked. Is Evan Bouchard a top 10 defenseman in the NHL? I got asked that tonight. After tonight, unequivocally, yeah. You asked me during the regular season, which I know is not the Stanley Cup Final, but during the regular season, no! Top 10 defenseman in the NHL, he doesn't play defense. People will throw all these stats at you. Oh, well, look at that. Who's he playing with? But he's literally the most dependable Oilers defenseman. Chris Knoblauch played him more than anybody else. Team Canada's in this really weird position because there was the Four Nation face-off, and then the very next year there's the Olympics. Canada won the four-nation faceoff. It's almost like you're not putting a player on Team Canada. In order to do that, you have to take a player off. So, who do you take off on Team Canada? That's a tough question, right? I don't know. The way he's played in these playoffs, the way he played in last year's playoffs, the way he's played in the playoffs in his career, he's literally shaping up to be an all-time great in terms of his production. I don't know how you omit this player. What are the odds I die doing something dumb if the boys pull it off? I would say, like, as good as, like, making a multi-goal comeback in the third against the Panthers, which is, like, you're probably not. Like, it's probably not going to happen, but, like, also, it's possible. This is an X's and O's question. Can Edmonton maintain their success tonight in evading Florida's blue line blockade and getting decent zone entries? Not sure Edmonton can hang with Florida the entire series if they have to dump and chase the majority of the time. Well, that's what the Panthers are counting on, right? But the Oilers are... I was having an interesting conversation with producer Drew. In terms of skill, I don't think the Oilers are better than last year. They're probably worse. You lose Broberg and Holloway and Fogle and McLeod. But the team they have put together, these guys are battering rams. And something I didn't even think of until after the game, they did this without Zach Hyman. That's nuts. They have a 40-year-old on the top line right now. Not every shift, but they got a 40-year-old out there. He assisted on the OT winner. But it's guys like Frederic marginally. I really like what they've done with their D-core. Jake Wallman was a warrior out there. I was a little, Klingberg didn't have that great of a game. But Kapanen, Podkolzin, obviously the contribution of Arvidsson, especially since getting back into the lineup. I just feel like they're a more bang and crash team suited for the style you need to play against Florida. Not to mention, you get miracle plays if you're the Oilers. You get high skill, crazy play. McDavid on the entry leading to, I think it was the tying goal, with that little, like, just that little hezzy to get around everybody. He didn't even do anything with the puck. He just used the fear of being Connor McDavid to get around everyone. Oh, the Panthers are just going to hit them. Yeah, if you can catch them. The Panthers are made of flesh and bone, too. They get tired, too. The Oilers have shown they can score against this Panthers team. What I'm going to be interested in Game 2 is whether or not the Oilers can stop the counterattack of Florida, which I think was a bigger problem in this game. If Skinner wasn't as sharp as he was, that game could have got ugly quick. So, what did you think of Game 1? I thought it was an instant classic. Let me know in the comments down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. I don't know if my voice is going to last this series.